Plant-based milks, explained. Pros, cons, and the future. The rise of plant-based milks has reshaped consumer choices around the world. Almond, soy, oat, coconut, and pea milk together account for nearly all plant-based milk sales in the United States, and their popularity is growing globally. They are marketed as healthier, more sustainable, and more ethical alternatives to cow's milk, often under the broad label of natural. But what does this naturalness really mean? A deeper look reveals a complex reality: environmental and economic trade-offs, nutritional differences, and evolving social and ethical considerations. Understanding the true cost of plant-based milks requires going beyond their appealing branding and examining what really goes into your glass. 1. What the true cost means. Recent research has applied true cost accounting (TCA) to compare dairy milk with major plant-based alternatives. This approach does not just look at retail prices, but integrates hidden factors such as greenhouse gas emissions, water use, land degradation, dietary risks, and even forced labor in global supply chains. Through this lens, plant-based milks often come out ahead of dairy milk in terms of sustainability, but the results vary greatly depending on the type of plant milk. Crucially, TCA shows that what seems like a simple switch, say, from dairy to almond or oat milk, can have widely different implications for both the planet and the consumer. 2. Environmental footprint. How do plant milks compare? Environmental impacts are one of the strongest drivers of plant-based milk consumption. According to global data from Our World in Data, all major plant-based milks have a lower environmental footprint than cow's milk when it comes to greenhouse gas emissions, land use, water consumption, and eutrophication. Yet, differences within plant-based options are significant. Almond milk stands out for its water intensity. It can take 74 liters of water to produce a single glass, making it one of the thirstiest plant-based milks. Oat milk has a much smaller footprint. Producing a glass of oat milk requires about 1/15 of the water used for cow's milk, and only about 1/8 of that used for almond milk. This makes it one of the more environmentally friendly plant-based options, especially when scaled. Pea milk is emerging as a particularly strong contender. A glass of pea milk generates only about 71 grams of CO emissions, compared with 330 grams for cow's milk. It also uses 86% less water than dairy milk. Pea cultivation has an added advantage. Peas are nitrogen-fixing plants, meaning they enrich the soil they grow in and reduce the need for synthetic fertilizers. However, the picture is not always so simple. Australian food writer Matthew Evans points out that production methods strongly affect outcomes. For instance, one brand of almond milk may require significantly more energy to process than another, and oat milk can actually demand more phosphorus fertilizer than goat's milk, depending on farming practices. This shows that sustainability cannot be reduced to broad categories. System-level thinking and production transparency are essential. 3. Economic considerations. Pricing and market trends. While plant-based milks are environmentally appealing, they tend to come with a higher price tag. On average, they cost more per liter than dairy milk, making them less accessible to lower-income consumers. This price difference is driven by several factors: smaller production scale, premium branding, fortification costs, and the expense of segmentation in niche markets. Ethical motivations also influence price. Studies show that when animal welfare ratings are attached to dairy products, consumers are willing to pay a premium of around 25%. This same psychology drives consumers to spend more on plant-based options perceived as ethical or sustainable. If environmental costs are internalized through policies such as carbon taxes, dairy milk could rise to €1.04 per litre, while plant-based milks could average 85 cents per litre, achieving price parity or even becoming cheaper. The market is already expanding rapidly. The global plant-based milk market has soared from $35 billion in 2021 to $123 billion in 2023, driven by consumer demand, food innovation, and environmental awareness. This growth promises greater economies of scale, which may eventually drive down prices. Corporate policies are also reshaping economics. Starbucks recently dropped its surcharge for plant-based milk in North America. responding to consumer demand for equity and sustainability. Animal rights groups like PETA are now urging chains such as Gales Bakery in the UK to follow suit, showing how activism and corporate responsibility are influencing access and affordability. 4. Nutritional and social dimensions. Nutritionally, plant-based milks vary widely. When it comes to nutrition, plant-based milks differ significantly. While most are fortified to match cow's milk in calcium, vitamin D, and occasionally vitamin B12, they typically provide less protein and fewer essential minerals overall. Soy milk is the most nutritionally comparable to cow's milk, offering nearly equivalent protein and a balanced nutrient profile. Oat milk has moderate protein, lower than dairy, but higher than almond milk. Its strong environmental credentials make it a balanced choice. Almond milk is often criticized for its low nutritional value. It contains little protein and relatively few natural nutrients, making it one of the weaker options from both a health and sustainability perspective. Pea milk, however, is rapidly gaining recognition as one of the best options. With 7.5 grams of protein per cup compared to cow's milk's 8.2 grams, it nearly matches dairy nutritionally, while far outperforming it environmentally. From a social perspective, hidden costs emerge. The TCA framework highlights the risks of forced labor in global supply chains, reminding consumers that natural is not always synonymous with ethical. Consumers willing to pay more for ethical and environmental reasons are reshaping the market landscape, but transparency remains a challenge. 5. Pros and cons of plant-based milks. When comparing plant-based milks to dairy, the benefits and drawbacks must be carefully weighed. On the positive side, plant-based milks generally have a lower environmental impact across greenhouse gas emissions, water use, and land use. They are lactose-free and avoid animal welfare concerns. Fortification ensures they supply essential nutrients like calcium and vitamin D. And options like oat, soy, and especially pea milk provide a strong balance of nutrition and sustainability. On the downside, plant-based milks are usually more expensive than dairy, limiting accessibility. Their nutrient profiles can be weaker, especially in protein, zinc, and potassium, unless carefully chosen. Many formulations incorporate added sugars and stabilizers to improve taste and texture. Sustainability is not uniform across all types. Salmon milk, for example, is highly water-intensive. Furthermore, production methods matter, meaning one sustainable milk may still have hidden environmental costs. 6. Future prospects. Looking forward, several trends point to the increasing role of plant-based milks. Scaling up production, particularly of sustainable types like pea milk, can reduce costs and improve availability. Environmental regulation, such as carbon pricing, may accelerate this shift by making dairy more expensive in comparison. Innovation is also likely to reshape the landscape. Scaling up production, particularly of sustainable types like pea milk, can reduce costs and improve availability. Consumer awareness continues to grow, with many willing to pay more for ethical or sustainable products. Corporate policies like Starbucks' decision to drop surcharges are also changing the playing field, signaling that plant-based milks are moving from niche to mainstream. 7. Bottom line. Is it good to use or not? Overall, plant-based milks are a positive choice, but with important caveats. They offer strong environmental and ethical advantages compared to dairy milk. But not all plant-based options are created equal. For those prioritizing sustainability and nutrition, pea milk is emerging as the best choice, closely followed by oat and soy milk. These provide a balance of protein, lower environmental impact, and accessibility. Almond milk, by contrast, is less favorable due to its water demands and weaker nutritional profile. Dairy milk remains nutritionally robust, but its environmental and social costs are significantly higher. For consumers concerned about climate change, sustainability, or animal welfare, rotating between oat, soy, and pea milk represents a smart, balanced approach. As the market grows, innovation and policy shifts are likely to make plant-based milks more affordable, more widely available, and even more nutritionally competitive with dairy. The future points toward a mainstream adoption of plant-based milks as not only a lifestyle choice, but also a necessity in addressing global sustainability challenges. So, when we talk about plant-based milk and the idea of it being natural, the truth is far more complex than the carton suggests. Yes, plant-based options generally lighten the environmental load compared to dairy. And yes, they carry ethical advantages too. But each variety tells a different story. Almond milk draining precious water, oat milk offering balance, soy holding steady, and pea milk emerging as the new frontrunner for both nutrition and sustainability. What this really means is that there's no single perfect choice. Instead, it's about making informed decisions, understanding the trade-offs, checking the labels, and choosing the option that aligns with both your health and your values. The future is promising. With innovation, scaling, and fairer pricing, plant-based milks could soon outpace dairy, not just on ethics and environment, but on cost and nutrition as well. So next time you pour a glass, remember, you're not just choosing a drink. You're choosing a food system, an environmental impact, and a future. The real question is, what do you want in your glass?